Hello everybody. Hope you're doing well. So tonight we are working on or with the framed florets and the framed and festive stamp set. I know I had done my November craft box with this set in blues and whites, but I thought I would give everybody that subscribed to my craft box. Hey Ruth, how are you, honey? Very cold Michigan. Is it snowing? Oh, you did have snowflakes today. Hey, do. No, it's cold here. No snow though, thank goodness. So I just thought I would add a few more cards that you could do along with the craft box. So we're working on Christmas. We're just going to do some red, gold, and white. And then we have just a very plain inside. Hey, Margaret. Hi, Kathy. And then we have this cute little um, treat holder. And I didn't put it in this one because I didn't want to have to redo my bow. But it'll fit one of these little Russell Stover ornaments. So we'll put it in tonight. And then a really pretty framed sentiment, and then some DSP and cardstock on the inside. But before we get started, if you are a demonstrator and did not go to on stage, just a sneak peek of the new mini catalog that will be out in January, plus the celebration. And I just want to show you a few sneak peeks. Here's a new stamp called Decorative Borders, which is really, really pretty. And then hand-drawn dots. This is a background stamp, which looks pretty neat. Oh, it was a Russell Stover's, but yes, it is peanut butter. You want them all? Yes, I do too. And then this was our free. We got these two free at the at On Stage. And this is actually a celebration stamp set called Beautifully Happy. And it's a two-step. And we saw this being used. Really very, very pretty. So I'm excited. And then these little daisies, these are adorable. This was my door prize, but they're cute little daisy embellishments, and the set that goes with this is adorable. And then also we got this designer series paper, and isn't that beautiful? So really, really beautiful, beautiful products. Stampin' Up! Even gave us a notebook and a pen and this beautiful bag. I don't know if you can see it. Like a shoulder bag. It's really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to using that. So let's get started. Hope everybody's doing good. I know the weather is really cold. It's chilly here too. I actually am wearing a sweatshirt tonight. I just got done taking out the little girl, and it is just so breezy and cold. So let's start with this card. You know you don't have to keep track of the dimensions. I will have a PDF for you tomorrow. But we're using real red. And this is 8.5 by 5.5. And it's scored at 4.25. And this card is going to be landscape. Okay, then I am going to pull in a layer of brushed metallic and basic white. Now you can see I used the inside of this so I wouldn't waste the whole sheet on the inside frame. And there is a gold, another oval for the center. But I didn't want to waste this whole sheet of gold. Hi, Fran. How are you, honey? And then on the basic white, I ran it through the cut and emboss machine with the Charming Landscapes embossing folder. So we are going to adhere these two together, and you'll be happy to know I grabbed a new glue so I'm not fighting with empty glue bottles, and we're just going to glue these together. Have you seen, if I don't know if you watch the weather for other areas, but Buffalo is supposed to be getting, oh my God, like 5 or 6 feet of snow. How crazy is that? Lake effect snow. It is just crazy. Bill used to live in up by Batavia, in that area, and he remembers getting 5 feet of snow at a time. Hey, Karen. Oh wow, you have snow there now. 22 degrees. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure what the temperature is here, but it's not 22, I don't think. All right, so we have that layer together, and then I'm using the Boughs of Holly Designer Series paper, and this is actually 2 by 5 1/4. And we are going to lay this down just on the white piece. And I'm going to have to trim this. I should have trimmed it, actually, before I put it on the gold. But no worries. We'll just give it a little trim. That should be good. And we're just going to glue this down here, right on the bottom, because this is a smaller embossing folder and it embosses this much. So we're going to cover up this bottom and add this beautiful Designer Series paper. So I'm just going to line this up right on the basic white. But yeah, I'm glad we're not getting that kind of snow. I like it when it snows for the first time. I can ooh and ah, and I think it's so beautiful. But once that first snow is over, I can go the rest of the winter without it. Hey, Paula, 36 by us? Okay. I am just not a snow person. Probably because I have to shovel it. All right. So I don't like this line here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover it with a piece of gold paper. And what did I say this was? Little smaller than 5 1/4. So let me just cut this real quick. So I want to cover that seam. Excuse me. And then I'm going to add a strip of ribbon. And as you all know, I do not like wrapping ribbon and tying a bow at the same time. So I cheat And I grab my glue dots and add some glue dots to the ends of my ribbons. And then I add it to wherever I want to put it. So that's the one cheat I use. I just have such a tough time wrapping and tying a bow. So instead of driving myself crazy, I just use a shortcut. All right, so now we can add this to the front of the card. Make sure it's on there straight, just like that. Now the other die, this one here, this fancier die that's in the set, and I didn't even clean it out. This oval is a little larger. It fits perfectly in here. And I decided to take this oval and emboss in white that flower, the larger of the flowers. Okay, so let me just grab my Versamark. I hear you, Margaret. It's just... Now, Corrine loves the snow, I know. I always love seeing her post about her loving the snow. All right, so we have our... Let me just grab my silicone mat. Everything came flying. And we're just going to center this. I want to make sure I put this on here right. On this layer. And I stamped it. I used Versamark. So we have a nice image. Now I'm going to grab some white embossing powder. And let's just cover this image. Now this is easy because we're not coloring. We're just going to utilize the real red cardstock and the white embossing powder. Let's just get this up. And I didn't even do it ahead of time. So let's just get some of this powder off of here and run the gun, heat gun. I have to watch. Oh, Irene doesn't like it, huh? All right, so we're just gonna heat up this white embossing powder. So there we have our image. And what I did was I took the Pearlized Enamel Effects in Real Red, and these little dots that look like berries, I just added little berries. Now, if you don't have the enamel, you can always use the Real Red rhinestones. We're going to be using those on the other card, so you could actually add them here. And then let's get this flowered right here. We're going to use this, and as you can see, I have it on the bottom of the frame. So I'm just going to move some things out of the way here. And I did stamp it in Memento. I always stamp my images in Memento and color them with my blends. I do not use StazOn. And I am going to pull out my dark and light Just Jade, my dark and light shaded spruce, and then I'm going to pull in my dark and light real red and my dark cherry cobbler. And I'm just gonna move my camera down a little, so just don't get dizzy on me. What I actually did, all these, let me just make sure I did this so I know and get them the way I did it before. All these little leaves that are different than the ones around the flowers, I used the Just Jade. And for these, I am just going to give them a quick fill. And this is the dark Just Jade. And I'm not being fussy with them because there's really not that much space to be colored. So we're just going to fill them in with the dark Just Jade. Then we're going to work on these single leaves, and I'm going to start with my light Just Jade, and we're going to fill them all in. Make sure I hit them all. And we're not being too fussy right now. Got some here. I just wanted a little bit of variation in the leaves. Okay. Now that we have them done in light, nice and warm in Australia, I'm sure we're all suffering in the cold. Well, maybe not everybody. So now I'm just going to add some shadow effects. And I'm not going to be fussy. I'm just doing it down towards the end of the leaves, just so there's a little variation in color. And once it's dry, we'll see how it looks and if it's blended. Then we're going to take our dark and light shaded spruce. Now these little leaves have different sections in them. So what I tried to do is separate them. So I'm going to do every other one on each side. So this is the dark. So I'm just coloring every other one. This one, I'm going to do those two closest to the flower. Same thing here. There'd be a shadow. So all I'm doing is doing every other petal. And again, it's just to add some variation to the leaves. That was the light. Now this is the dark. So I'm just going to color that other section with the dark. So now these little leaves don't look so flat. We could go back with a gel pen and add some white highlights if you wanted to. Okay, so now all our leaves, as you can see, are colored, And they're the colors vary. Now let's go to the flowers. We're going to start with these three in the center. Oh, we're going to start with these three in the center. And wherever the petals overlap, that's where I'm going to add my darkest color. And I'm also going to just go around that center there, those artist lines. This one, we're just going to do the artist lines. And it looks like that petal overlaps. Go around the center. And then this one, there's an overlap. And there's an overlap. So working on those in the dark cherry cobbler. Now we're going to grab our dark real red. Now we're going to head over here to these flowers. And I didn't really want these to be too detailed. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color right around that centerpiece. Same thing here. This is the dark real red. I'm just going around the center. For these flowers, I am going to expand or extend on the cherry cobbler. So I'm just pulling that color out towards the outer rim of the petals. Not being too fussy, just extending that color. And we'll do the same thing here. This one, we're going to color this whole thing in. Let's just extend this color. We're going to color all that in. Then we're going to grab our light real red and finish off these flowers. And then we can color in the rest of these. Now you know that the darker markers that you're using are going to be fading because of these light markers. So you can always go back and add some more dark if you want. And again, when you're using your blends, if you don't want to ruin your table, just make sure you put something under your image. And then these here. All right, quick and easy. For these two outside ones, I just grabbed some dark mango medley and filled in that center. For these two, I'm just going to grab some pretty little pearls, these smaller ones here, oops, and add them to the center of the flowers. Oops. Just like that. Just going to move this up a little bit. All right, so now that that's done and our image is embossed, we can pull our card. Well, let's pull this in first. I have to be careful because these little enamel dots are probably not dry. We want this frame to be the frame for this oval. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add the glue to this oval, red oval circle. If I can get it, there it goes. And this way I can adjust the gold oval so the flower is centered. we're just going to add the glue, oops, around the edges. Grab my oval, and this way I can make sure when I lay it down that that flower is pretty well centered in the oval. And I just have to be careful because of those little dots right now. So let's pull in our card. I'm actually going to take my dimensionals so I don't ruin that layer. And I'm going to hope that I don't mistakenly hit them. That would be a disaster. All right, that should be good. I don't know what I did with that pokey tool again. It's probably sitting right here in front of me. It is. Here it is. Little stinker has legs and walking away. All right, so this glue is still a little damp, but I am going to take this and put it on the front of the card. Just like that. Okay? It looks crooked, but I think it's my camera that's crooked. Now we can take the flowers we just colored and we're actually going to glue them, and I'm going to grab another dimensional because this little frame here is not completely straight. That looks better. I'm going to put one on here too. What happened is when you heat emboss, it does warp the paper just a little bit. So there we go. All right, so we're going to glue, and I want to also put a dimensional on this edge right here so it's even with that oval frame. So let's just add some glue. We want to pretty well center this. And then we can grab our ribbon and tie a bow. This way, my bow is separate from that little piece that we put around the card. I don't have to worry about wrapping and tying. So we have our bow. Make sure that center is nice and tight. Let's cut our tails. And then we're going to add it right here where this ribbon is. Just grab a glue dot, which aren't very sticky because my room is a little chilly tonight. And then we have the front of our card. Okay. Now for the inside, we have a real red 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then we have our basic white 5 1/4 by 4. Just going to move that over. I'm actually going to grab the same stamp that we embossed in white, and we're going to actually pull that gold to the inside by embossing it in gold. You just grab a piece of scrap and the Versamark. Now, where this flower is a little bit on the shape of a triangle, I'm just going to try to line it up right on that corner. And let's give it some gold. And let's heat it up. Thanks, Fran. Thanks, Margaret. It is amazing how nice the embossing comes out when you use a really nice stamp pad that is full of ink. Because if you notice, I finally broke open, and I know it looks dirty, but that's all the Versamark ink in there. It is so nice and juicy that it is really embosses nice. All right, so now that we have that flower there, we are going to grab our Real Red stamp pad and our Merry Christmas. Now, the Merry Christmas is from the framed and festive stamp set. Okay, this one is rubber, where the other one is photopolymer. So we're just going to make sure there's no fuzz on here. Ink it up. And we're just going to put this right here in this corner. Now this layer is going to be warped a little bit because of the embossing. And I don't like using glue. So I'm going to run my seal as close to the edge as I can. So this will lay down flat on the inside of my card. So let's get our layer. Make sure it's on here straight. There we go. We can pull in our card. I want to be careful of those little enamel dots. Lay that down easy. And there we go. Really pretty Christmas card using the framed florets. Thank you, Paula. Yeah, I like to try to pull an element from the front to the inside, and the embossing looks nice instead of embossing the sentiment. Embossing the same flower just pulls part of the front to the inside. All right, so let's work on this card. Hey, Janet. Perth, Western Oz. Awesome. Welcome. Thanks, Ruth. So for this one, we are going to use basic white as our card layer, and it's 11 by 4 1/4. If you're getting here late, you don't have to worry about dimensions. I will be sharing a PDF tomorrow. All right, so 11 by 4 1/4. scored at 5.5. Then we're going to layer it with some real red, 5.25 by 4, and the Boughs of Holly Designer Series paper, 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Is that right? 5 by, let me just take 1/8 off. I'll do 5 by 3 3/4. I want it to be even all the way around. All right, so all we're going to do is layer these up. So we're going to just add some glue. So Tuesday, just so everybody is, hey Sheila, how are you, honey? Just so everybody is updated, Bill was finally able to get his first treatment. Tuesday was a very long day. We were there probably, oh gosh, I think we were there about 3 hours. But he got his first treatment. Thank goodness. And he's not feeling good at all. But at least he got his treatment. That's really what matters. I'm getting a little concerned about that. All right, so there's our card base. So again, I took this die, and here's the circle that we used for this card here. Okay, I cut it out, and the inside oval was used on the other card. I also cut it out in white so I could have that inside oval. And I also have a gold frame. So we're going to put our sentiment on the basic white. Let's pull this little sheet in. And we're going to use our real red. Let's just get this on first. I always get a little nervous when it comes to putting our sentiments on, hoping that it goes on straight. But I did add my sticker, so I'm hoping that sticker is pretty on there, pretty well on there. Let's just grab a piece of scrap paper here. Let's check it out. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty straight. All right, so we're going to ink up, and we are going to put this a little bit closer to the top than the bottom and give it a good stamp. And we're going to do the frame the same way we did on the other card. I'm going to hold on to my frame, but I'm going to add my glue onto this layer. And while I'm thinking about it, I guess I'll have to put a poll in the room. But Saturdays, my 11 o'clock Simple Saturday video is going to have to be, changed. I am going to be taking Sheba for obedience lessons. She's going to school on Saturdays because she is crazy. Hey, Peggy. How are you? She's a crazy girl, and I need help just as much as she needs help. So I'm going to have to switch up my Saturday, Simple Saturday, and I'm going to do it on Sundays. So, what would be a good time on Sunday? I know some people go to church. I'm available all day. So, what would be the best time to do our simple Saturday on Stepped Up? We'll do Stepped Up Sunday with our simple Saturday. All right, so we saw that I attached the gold frame, and then I also am gluing it down to the red frame. You'll notice that right here, I don't know if you can tell, but right here at the bottom, you can see the white showing through. But I don't really mind because we're going to put another flower down there at the bottom. So we're going to let that dry. The flower that we embossed on this card, we actually are going to color. So let's pull our shaded spruce, dark and light, all our reds, plus our light poppy red. And we're just going to, again, we're going to just color these. This is light. Let me just make sure. Yep. This is the light shaded spruce. We're just going to color these leaves in. Go all the way around. Now with this one, I used all the same greens, and I did the same thing on these leaves that I did on the first one. I'm coloring every other with the light. Just for some variation. Let's do this one here. And then we'll do this one. You have to be careful when you're coloring them so you get them right. And there's our leaves. So now I'm going to take the dark. I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow to the bottom. And also color in the section that we forgot or that we avoided. And you can see I'm not being fussy. You could if you wanted to, but I just decided that I wouldn't be too fussy with these tonight because we could go crazy. I'll show you, like for our Patreon class, we colored this one just normally, took the image and colored. And then we took the same image again and we put texture in the hat, designs on her dress, and then we gave the little boy a plaid shirt instead of a red shirt. So just know you get home about 12:45. Okay, awesome. Me either, do. Okay, so that's what we did in our Patreon class. And then here's the third one. But you don't have to, you can alter the images once you stamp them. So just remember that. All right. Okay, so how about 2 o'clock on Sundays? I think that would be a good time. All right, so we're going to take the dark cherry cobbler, and again, we're going to go deep into that flower, and we're just going to add some shadows. These are where the petals are overflowing. It looks like we're going to go around it here. We want to give these flowers some depth. So let's add those shadows. Here's a petal here, okay? It's behind this little flower here. So we're going to add some shadow there. And this front petal, this piece is sticking out. So we're going to add a shadow here. And then this one we're going to leave because I have 4 different markers and there's not a lot of space. Let's go over here. We're going to go around that petal. We have a shadow here. We're going to go around the inside piece here because these 3 petals are behind that center piece. This petal here is on top of this petal. This petal here is in front of this petal. It looks like this petal is behind, so let's add a shadow there. And this petal is behind, so let's add a shadow there. And then we have this same funny looking petal. We're going to add a shadow there. So now that our shadows are done, we're going to take our dark real red. We started with dark cherry cobbler, dark real red, and we're just going to extend these lines. We're just going to extend it. Now here's a little fold over. Let's add a shadow. We don't want it really dark, but there's a shadow there. Let's extend this up. Looks like there's a fold in the flower. And it would be a shadow there. And I know it looks crazy, but as we keep building, you'll notice it changing. So we're going to extend that color, and we're going to extend that color. Looks like there's a fold right there. We're going to extend this color up, and a fold right there. Come down to this front. Let's just extend this color up and here. So we have that flower. We'll add a little bit down here. So there's that flower. Let's head over here. Let's just extend this color. And we'll extend it here. This petal is way in the back. So we're going to color that completely in. This one, we're going to do the same thing. Let's just extend this color. We're going to extend this color here. That looks like a fold. And then let's extend this color to the top. Now we're going to grab our light real red. Thank you, Paula. And now we are going to extend and fill in the rest of the petals. And I'm not going over everything. I'm just going over the edges of the color. And I'm going to leave this piece here because that's really close to us. Same thing here. I'm going to leave this piece because it's close to us, and these little foldovers I'm going to keep. Now the reason I'm just going over the edges of these colors on the flower already is because When you use a lighter blend on a darker blend, there's more alcohol in the lighter markers than the darker markers. So what happens? It fades your dark colors. So now that our flowers are pretty well colored, I'm going to use my light Poppy Parade and fill in these white spots that I left white. And then I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm just going to roll over it really quick, just so that it will lighten up a little bit. Okay, so there's our flowers. Now I'm going to grab my light and dark mango medley. No, that's a lie. We're going to take the light daffodil delight and the dark mango medley. And we're going to, this is now behind that front petal. And it is behind this petal here. I'm going to do the sides. And then I'm going to take my light daffodil delight and add it to the center, just so it's highlighted a little bit in the center. And I'm going to take my blend again, and I'm just going to hit that center part. And here is our flower for our oval. Then I cut out a sprig in gold. And then I took some garden green and embossed the leaves from the set on garden green. Okay. Before we put this on, I'm going to grab some, let's see where I put them. Huh. Did I use them yet? Oh, here they are, right in front of my face. We're going to grab some real red rhinestones, and we're going to put them on these little spots. To me, they look like little berries. So we're going to add some real red rhinestones for some berries. Right now, I'm going to leave these two blank because I'm not sure if the image is going to be covering them or not. Pull in our oval. I'm going to grab some pearls, and we're going to do medium, and we're going to put one right here at the top, and I'm going to put one right here. Okay, I'm not going to do this one yet till I see where all our foliage is going. And now let's just add some dimensionals. We want to make sure this is really popped up on the front. And we just want to center it. Hi, Dawn. How are you? All right. So let's grab our gold sprig and add this right to the front of this frame. I don't want to hide too much of my sentiment, so you just want to get it in here so it sticks and stays on. It's really not covering anything. These flowers are going to go here on the bottom. So we're going to add some dimensionals to this. And I'm going to keep them towards the center because I want to tuck the leaves under. So we're going to just put this right about here. I'm going to fit the J and the Y in between these leaves. We'll take the larger leaf sprig. We're going to stick it right under here. Just like that. And I can see one of the berry spots. So I'm just going to grab one and put it right in there. All right, now we have these two little leaves. I'm going to take one and we'll stick it right under the frame. Just gives it a little bit more dimension without adding dimensionals. And then let's put this one right about there. And there's the front of our card. Just quick and easy. The biggest part was the coloring. It just takes a little bit of time for the coloring. Let's grab the inside of the card. And we have 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Then we have a real red, 3 3/4 by 5. And then we have a basic white that's 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. You know I don't like using glue on my basic white layer when it's on the inside or the front of the card when we're going to see it and if it's not embossed. So we're just going to use our seal. I'm going to leave the inside of the card blank because I'm putting a layer of designer series paper inside. And again, we spent time with the coloring. Let's pull in our card. And we can just adhere this right to the center. And that glue gives us a little bit of wiggle room. And then we have our second card. And again, you could do any colors you want. Yes, I did emboss. Thank you, Margaret. I did emboss gold on garden green. Okay, so it just gives it a little bit of glimmer in there. All right, so let's jump to our next project. Now for this one, I used the designer tag dies, and these dies are actually on sale during the 3 days sale. So if you have not yet ordered, get those orders in. I think it ends tomorrow. All right, 4.5 by 4. Let me quick cut my paper. You don't have to send a message, Em. I think Bill is in bed. I came in here early to make sure I had everything, and I still didn't have everything. Ah, okay. So like I said, I used the designer tag dies, and I cut out 2 of these tags in real red. What I want to do though, I don't want both of these ends, so I'm just going to use my cutter and I'm just cutting off the end of the tag, and I'm going to do it on both of them just to make sure, get them a little bit straight there. So now we have a front and a back. I'm going to use a layer of gold. And I'm going to decorate. I actually did it on both sides. And this little gold piece is 2 3/8 by 2 1/2. Then we're going to use a piece of real red that is 2 1/4 by 2 3/8. And then we're going to use a piece of designer series paper, which is 2 1/8 by 2 1/4. And we are just going to glue these all together. Now you're just going to want to make sure that you have them on the right way, because they're not completely square. They're off by a little bit. So we're just going to layer these together. And give them a chance to dry. Because you know that glue is great because it gives you that wiggle room. But then when you want it, you want to work with it, it doesn't dry fast enough sometimes. And then one more. So now we have a nice front and back layered up to match our cards. All right. So now we're just going to take these layers and lay it on the tags. Just like that. All right, so now we have the front and the back to our box. Just give me a second. It's getting warm in here. Now we have to make the little box for the inside. Okay, so we're going to grab a piece of real red, and this is 4 1/2 by 4. I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and on the 4 1/2 side, I hope I do this right. I messed it up this afternoon. We need to score at 1, and then I'm just going to turn it around, and I'm going to score it at 1 again. Then on the 4-inch side, we want it at 1. Is that right? No, that's not right. What did I do? 1 1/2. 1 1/2. 2 1/2. Right. Okay, so I'm going to just leave that line there. We're going to score it at 1 1/2. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to score it at 1 1/2 again. Let's make sure that's right. Yep. So we're going to just forget that line is there. That's what happens when you start getting tired. My mind doesn't work properly when I start getting tired. And I've been up, I guess, since 5 this morning. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you ladies, but I am having such a hard time with the times change still. Time change still. And I don't know why. Usually by now I am pretty caught up, but not this time. All right, so I'm going to cut out that little score bump and make a tab on the inside. And I'm going to do it on both sides. So I'm just taking out that bump that the scoreboard makes and creating a tab. Okay. Then I'm going to, just so it's quicker and we don't have to wait, I am going to add some Seal Plus on these little on these little tabs. And then I want to add it. Let's add it here. And we're just going to make a little box. So we're just going to make sure that when we close this up, all our edges are straight. I'm just going to do it on this side too. Whoops, so I don't mess it up. So I'm just making sure my edge is straight. And then the same thing when I put the next layer on. So we're just making a little tiny box. Okay. And this little Russell Stover will fit in here just perfectly. So now that we have our box, we're not even going to see this score line where I made a boo-boo. We're going to add some glue. Make sure I'm on the camera. And I'm going to lean it against the table so I know that it's flat. And we're just going to glue that to the front or the back. And then we're going to glue on the other one. And again, I'm just going to lift it, push it against the table just to make sure that it's on there straight. Take my bone folder and just press that down. So now we have a nice little box. Oop, I don't know what happened there. There it goes. A nice little box. And again, we can stick this right inside. I'm just going to fold it over. And before we decorate, let's grab, this is going to be a pain for me. We are going to just take our ribbon and we're going to run it right through the little hole in the tag. I'll use this as the front of my box. And then we're just going to tie a bow. To keep it closed. And I'm just going to pull my loops so we can get them nice and straight. I'm just going to lift it up for a second. Straighten that loop out. It's crooked. And then we're just going to pull our tails. And again, we'll just cut them off. And then now we can decorate the front. So I have a little sprig that I cut out, die cut in garden green. So let's go back to our red rhinestones. and add our berries. Oops. Put one here. And here. Okay, let's pull in our box. All we're going to do is run a bead of glue right down the center. I'm not going to worry too much about all the little sprigs. And we're just going to run it from this corner just about to the top of the box. And then I have a little flower that we stamped in real red. And I'm going to pull my colors out again. And we're going to start with our darkest. And let's add some shadow. I'll go quick for you, ladies. So I'm just gonna add some shadow. And let's hit these artist lines. Then we'll grab our dark real red, extend that color. I'm actually gonna go under here, extend that color. So I'm not really being too fussy, just extending. Let's hit these lines here. And then here. So you can see I wasn't being fussy at all. We're going to get our light real red and we're going to finish coloring in those white spaces going over the edge of the color we just colored. I'm leaving those little flapped over or flopped over, the little flaps there. Going to grab the poppy and we're going to highlight these edges with Poppy Parade. So it's a little lighter than the rest of the flower. That's the blend, the color lifter, they call it. And grab our pearls. And let's add a pearl to the center. Pull in our box. And we're just going to put one dimensional on the back. And let's put this flower. I want to hide that stem. So let's put it right about there. Then I have two little gold leaves. These are also from that set. Just want to incorporate some gold since we have gold in our cards. So then this little box will match either card if you wanted to give it as a set. So we'll put one there. Now you don't have to poke these centers out if you didn't want to. But get all these centers out. Let's see if I can switch this. Let's go down that way. Once that dries, I'll wipe it. And then we'll put this one down here. All right. And then you have a cute little treat box. Nicely decorated. And then we have our first card and our second card. So I just want, like I said, hey, thanks, Ruth. The sprig is from the framed Florets dies. I don't know. Wait until you see the thank you, Dawn. This year, when they have stamp sets and dies to match, believe it or not, this is so exciting. The dies are called the same as the stamp set. So there's no wondering what die set. But yes, this leaf sprig is in the framed florets. And so are these little leaves. All the dies that I used tonight is from the framed florets, other than this die, which was the designer tag duo, or the designer tags. So I hope you are inspired by this set. Like I said, I did the craft box in this set, and I did not use red. I used white and evergreen and blue. So you can use it for so many different things. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Fran and Kathy. Ladies, thank you so much, Sheila. I'm glad you were able to make it. So I'll see you Sunday at 2 o'clock. And we'll do Stepped Up Sunday and Simple Saturday all at the same time. So, ladies, have a great night. If you're getting bad weather, please be careful out there. And stay warm for sure. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.